And we're back. Take it away. You said that in the beginning of another episode, and I loved it.
Take it away?
Yeah.
I did?
At the beginning of episode 8. Right in the beginning.
Oh, when I said, away we go.
Oh, okay.
Away we go.
That's great. Hi.
Welcome back.
To another episode. As
Woo
as you
want.
with Celine.
And Jeremiah.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to the cast.
To the show.
The Pocast.
The production.
The most woo-woo production.
To exist in this studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the universe,
Yeah,
but
I'm like, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's true. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We just ate some foods.
We ate some foods. We had a really nice outdoor experience.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's in the Crown Heights area, in Brooklyn, New York, United States of America, 2019
Sure.
so far.
Well.
Check out 1136.
Delicious.
Amazing food by my wonderful friend Nave and her partner Ed. They're just the best.
Out of control.
And
Chicken salad. Wow.
Yeah, I'm plugging them because they're just
local
amazing
stuff.
people.
Local business.
Stuff. Really making food with love.
You
they're
could
so
tell.
good.
You could
I
definitely
love
tell.
you guys, and one day you'll meet Celine for sure.
Yes, I'll eat a sandwich in front of you.
Yeah.
Ugh, what a weird thing to say.
I just had a great image of just like chicken kind of like coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you guys.
Well, Jeremiah, what's our episode about today?
Emotions.
Emotions. We tried to get Mariah Carey on the show just to sing Emotions, but she was busy.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah. We were talking with our publicist.
Yeah. They're in LA.
She just like did some high pitched noises.
Siren screams.
Yeah. Siren screams at us.
Yeah, emotions.
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 Yeah.
It's funny how fast they can change. I feel like I'm someone who's a bit moody.
Yeah.
I don't know if you are. I am.
Yeah.
And I sometimes will be in just a little bit of a mood. And I'm like, you're in a mood. You take yourself to your room. You know, like I'm like, get it together.
Did you notice what you just said? Take yourself to your room. That's how you talk to your inner child.
Oh, so wait, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
Interesting. I was parenting myself.
You totally were.
Yeah, yes, when I'm moody, I'll try to parent myself to get out of it.
Before this episode, I was like, this is totally inner child stuff.
Yeah.
Totally.
Moodiness.
And I know people are going to be like, oh, it's just like all he talks about is inner child stuff. You don't understand how huge of a thing it is. And maybe it's just because I'm at a place where I'm realizing it. But
yeah.
You have a child inside of you.
Yeah.
And it's a relationship. And either you've stuffed it down and, you know, she or he or it or they are not there. Or you're having a good time.
Yeah.
And emotions is a huge, huge part of it.
Yeah.
If you feel like your emotions are hijacking your life, I think that's the inner child.
You think so?
Yeah. Maybe not all the time, but I think
times?
sometimes, yeah.
I wonder, do you think there's a different name that you could use besides calling it the inner child? No? Like, what would that be if it's just
You could say the id.
the id?
You know, if you're Freudian, you have the id, the ego, and the superego. That he conceived the psyche as broken up into those three things. So, you know, the id is like just raw,
Primal.
instinctual, primal passion. The ego is, you know, the egoic self. everyday
Okay.
self, and then the super ego, which you could say the higher self.
Super
And
ego.
then
Would the higher self be part of the ego?
right. I mean, all this stuff is
yeah. Okay. Sorry. I
nebulous.
just got very.
And the super ego, I think, in like very technical Freudian terms, is actually like, morality and like kind of like almost
Moral
like a platonic
compass.
way of looking
Yeah.
at like morality and ethics, which I don't think is.
Because I feel like for you and I, inner child, using that word and understanding that concept is very fine. Like it resonates with us. But I feel like to understand it and for everyone to kind of explore the concept, I wonder if it could be a turnoff to use inner child. Maybe that's me being very Capricorny.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
if there's another way of looking at it. I mean,
It's not. It's like this part of yourself that you abandoned when you were little, right? It's like the first time you experienced hurt as a child. That's where the inner child begins.
well,
Maybe?
I don't think it's something that you abandon per se, like by default. I think it's just
No, not
there.
on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of, this is not a revolutionary concept.
No, I
Inner
mean,
child work is
yeah.
like very common in a lot of
Psychology and
psychology and therapy and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's not anything new. I think the difference is we're approaching it from a woo-woo perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, looking at it a little bit more, I mean, obviously there's overlaps, but just looking at it more from that kind of
yeah.
place. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're, pure, like just the purity of self,
Yeah.
purity of being, an innocence,
Right.
just like a core kind of innocent inner knowing. Yeah, nothing's coming
I
to me,
guess
to
like
be honest with you.
I mean, I guess it's more of like the more playful, fun part of yourself.
I would-
right?
yeah.
Because that's the more childlike part.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's inner child is different. Some,
Yeah.
some children like to be alone, and they just like to kind of, draw
out. Yeah.
under a table. Other children like playing with other children and,
Yeah.
and like being rambunctious. I would actually take this opportunity if people who are listening right now have, other ideas of conceptualizing the inner child. Posted on this episode's Instagram.
Yeah, let us
'Cause
know
We
what you
really
think.
want to continue some. I think it'd be cool to keep the conversation going. I don't want it to feel like it's just one way with us.
Yeah, and I also feel like where we are, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, in the kind of podcast that we're doing, we've kind of covered a lot of broad topics, and we want to always keep it open to explore and talk more about these. We talk about the inner child a lot because it is really important, and hearing what everybody else has to say about it is also something we're super psyched on doing too.
Yeah, if people know of other references that we haven't brought up,
Yeah,
please
let us
share it
know.
with us. Share it with us because we're learning too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everything that we're talking about, yeah, like you said, they're all going to come up again. It's all we're just in that vortex, the woo woo
Love that word.
vortex.
I love that you just said that.
But emotions is huge, and I think I wanted to talk about it, and Celine wanted to talk about it. For me, I think I went through this period pretty recently where, with meditation and spirituality, I think there's this idea that like as you become more enlightened, you transcend your humanity and you
Right.
become one with all, and you're just this just balanced individual where nothing bothers you and everything is perfect and you're flowing on your
Right.
Himalayan
Newsflash,
perch.
no.
No, I don't think it works like that.
No.
And I'm realizing more and more, like, to really, because you're human. You're just human. And this is, we're in bodies. I don't know what to tell you. That's just the reality.
This is just who we are.
And I think, when you meditate or if you have other modalities of kind of tapping into your astral self or whatever, yeah, you're leaving your body, but you come back.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the more you, and I've said it before, like practice meditation and, you know, really work on your intentions and attracting things that I think you could have a life that doesn't have a ton of complicated negative stuff happen. I guess I don't think you're going to like walk around on a yoga mat and just like eat air and you're fine. Like, no. Yeah. But
floating around on a yoga mat.
Yeah, just like, hello. Like,
Aladdin style.
Yeah. But I do think you could achieve some sort of, you know, elevation from, you know, the third kind of like murky dimension that we work in. Mm-hmm. But I do think then when that like negative stuff happens, you just are able to kind of, I don't know, you don't like become so reactive and you just breathe through it. And with my like small meditation practice that I've been trying to do, I noticed that. And I was saying to you, you know, I kind of feel like sometimes when I meditate, my day is kind of crummy. Like there'll be just like chaos at work or like the subway takes 20 hours. And like, I do think that what it does is like I recognize the difficulty and then I kind of step back and I don't let it totally make me a moody little baby child. There it is.
You're just saying, you're literally just saying it.
No.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where as you become conscientious of your inner child, just who, you know, just you, your egoic self, when you start to tap into your higher self and open up to allowing yourself to be guided and by there's a deeper knowing in each of us. And I forgot who the guy, there's I think he was a psychologist. He says he's like, basically we're all like psychiatric patients with like a guru inside. And it's like, it's all about just tapping back into that guru
getting
inside.
Back in there.
We all have that inner knowing, and it's just a matter of quieting your mind and getting there. And I also want to emphasize, I think a lot of times, you know, maybe meditation isn't the right modality for you. I don't want people to listen and be like, well, I don't want to meditate. And like, that's okay. There's a lot of different ways of doing, you know, meditative-like things, you know. There's a lot of dance programs out there like 5 Rhythms and stuff like that where you can do movement meditation.
Breath work.
Yep.
Which I guess is, well, that's more like active. You're more using your breath to get into like a more transcendent state.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
writing.
I was about to say like any artistic medium, I think, you know, you get into a meditative flow state.
Though I do wonder the value of just sitting with yourself.
I personally think it's incredibly valuable.
But I feel like
that's
most of the reading I've done in kind of spiritual stuff, it does kind of not push, but mention meditation as a key tool, specifically that modality.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe you just need to get there somehow at some point, and you start with whatever floats your boat for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever works for you. I think it's all about listening on the inside. Mm-hmm. You know, back to our other episode about, you know, the relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when we're talking about emotions, I think when you start to have a better relationship with yourself, you more quickly identify what it is that is causing the emotion, and you can kind of nip it in the bud and like go back to a place of equanimity. Equanimity?
Equanimity. I know what you're trying to say. I'm not sure if that's the right word.
I love how my very good friend Noah, hi, if you're listening, I love you. We had a wonderful conversation last week where he had this beautiful realization where he's like, you know, this person made me feel this thing. And the whole idea of like, no one makes you feel anything. You feel it.
Right. I know,
loved that. I thought that was so
well,
beautiful.
It's just this thing where...
NoAaronson.com.
Yes, check that out. You know, but it is about taking... It's like the ability to take responsibility for your state of being and your state of mind as your own is something that is so tough, but like And it will shake you, and then it'll make you feel better too when you're like, I got into a fight with somebody, or someone was such an asshole on the subway, and it's like, well,
Right.
sweetie, sir, what are you doing that's kind of attracting that into your vibration? Like,
Yeah.
that experience isn't just happening to you.
Yeah.
It's happening from you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was a good sentence.
Oh, that was really good.
That was a good sentence.
No, you were on point. No one could see, but my face was like, oh, go
Doing like a
Celine,
little
go
shimmy.
Celine.
We're both doing like little shimmies.
We're going to shimmy say to my, it's really sunny out. It's nice.
I know, it's nice.
Yes, 100%. And I'm trying to remember, you just brought something up in me. And, so one thing about this that I think I used to do was people will say something like you just said, where
Yes.
it's like, it's you. And then a lot of people will beat themselves up and be like, what's wrong with me? It's me. I'm hitting myself. I have to hit myself until I get like better. And it's like, no. Take a step back, forgive yourself, be kind to yourself, be like, okay, just like breathe, take a step back. And I think, with it's not even meditation, just breathe.
Yeah, well, it's like training the mind to like get out of its own way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what, when you sit quietly and you just breathe and you get into a presence, or you're gardening or you're writing or you're dancing, like, it's a tool that we don't talk about, but we really need it to kind of be more empathetic and compassionate to ourselves and also the community that we function in. And I think that if you learn how to do that more and more, then life kind of just, it's not as like insufferable.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, emotions. Yeah, I never really think about emotions in this way.
It's really important to allow yourself to feel. And I think another part of it, too, is like I was just saying, don't beat yourself up about it. And also allow yourself to feel the emotion. Right.
Feel frustration. Feel anger. Feel sadness.
Go through the emotion. Don't short-circuit it. You know, when I said, like, you can nip it in the bud, it's not like you're like, no, I'm fine. It's like soothe the inner child. That's how you nip it in the bud. You go inside and you go, oh, okay, all right, am I feeling angry? Like, I love this part of Tosha's work where she's a Cap and she's pretty fiery. And one of her techniques that she always talks about is she'll go, if she's really angry, which I love. You know, we're human, you know, she's incredibly, you know, I think enlightened and wise, but she knows she's a fucking human, and there are times where she's angry, and she admits it, and she goes, I get a bunch of like, I'll go to like a thrift store and buy some dishes.
No.
Yeah.
Does she do that?
And she'll just break the fuck out of some dishes.
Oh, I love that.
Or you can do a coconut ceremony, which is kind of separate. But that's part of there's a lot of cultures do coconut ceremonies where basically it's an offering ceremony where you take the coconut and you kind of like with the coconut you use it as a symbol for whatever is like causing angst, and you kind of put it all in there, like whether it's a relationship or money woes or you know, anything. And you kind of say like, okay, I'm offering this thing, all of this burden, you know, this thing that has been bothering the hell out of me, and I'm giving it over to love. I'm giving it over to Jesus. I'm giving it over to the divine. I'm giving it over to Hashem, whatever you want to call it. And then once you like kind of sit and meditate with it, you just smash the hell out of it.
Love it. I love that. Well, it's also like when you do things where you write down whatever garbage thing has been just like circling in you, and then you light it on fire and you watch it burn. I love that stuff. You know, and this is also a little bit like shadow self stuff, right? Which like embracing your darkness and your rage and your anger and your frustration. And like the last year and a half, I just love that concept so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate way to kind of become very woo,
Yeah.
you know?
Go through the emotion.
Yeah,
Let
honor
yourself
your
feel
shit.
it. Don't take it out on other people.
Right, no, we're not, don't
giving
be
you
garbage to
yeah,
other
we're giving
people.
you ways of taking it out that are healthy and productive. You know,
Yeah.
punch a pillow. Man, I punch pillows.
Really?
Oh yeah, I love it.
What do I do?
Sometimes
Burn stuff.
you burn stuff. Burning stuff is great.
I mean, not like just random stuff around. I'm not like lighting things on fire. I don't know.
Sometimes for me, it's like listening to like hardcore music.
Oh, I love that.
I'm like, you know, my
Angst.
punk rock, like
Just
angsty days.
so
I'll just
angsty.
play like, I don't know if people know like Snapcase. Oh my god, it's just like the loudest.
Snapcase. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that name. It sounds so
Yeah,
weird.
Poison the Well, Shai Hulud, Bane, Cannibal Corpse. If you want to get a little more metal,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's good stuff. That's
Yeah.
fun.
So finding different ways to deal with your anger and frustration and sorrow. So, another good one for me is just crying.
I cry all the time.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
feels
it's
good.
so exhausting. And then you're tired after, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very self-soothing thing to
Yeah. And you know, if you cry, it's like good. Like,
do. Please
congratulate yourself. Be
do. Yeah.
like, yes.
Bravo.
Because, you know, this goes into the whole thing about vulnerability.
Yes, it does. Being vulnerable.
Yeah. And, you know, we talked about, it's so funny because we talked about Brene Brown with that Queer Eye episode a couple episodes ago. And funnily enough...
Like, very soon after that, there's a Netflix special of hers.
There you go.
And I watched it, and it was out of this world. Just like easy, you know, it's cool to have a woman, first of all. Second, who just talks about being vulnerable, owning your emotions, and then using your success to be, you know, it's like a lot about the success is reached through being in touch with your emotions and being okay with failing and making a mistake and not like losing it for that, you know?
Mistakes. Okay, so speaking of mistakes,
yeah. Oh,
every
boy.
time I listen to this podcast, I think for both of us, I know for me, this podcast is an exercise in letting myself make mistakes.
Sure.
And so one is Brene Brown's not a psychologist. My social worker sister, Jessica, corrected me. She's a social worker.
Did we say?
I said a psychologist.
Oh, you did?
So shout out to my motherfucking social workers, because every single social worker out there, if you're listening, you are an angel.
So cool. One of my best friends is a social worker.
Oh my God. And
Allie.
like the world needs you. We love you.
Yep.
I'm sending you so much love and appreciation. You are healing the world one soul at a time.
It's so cool.
So, and apologies to Brene Brown and
Social worker.
she's a social worker.
But also a researcher.
Yeah, and a researcher.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
right.
she's done those studies. Yeah. Another one, Melissa kept correcting me. I was like, oh my God, I feel like such an idiot. But I used to say patriarchal. I don't know if anyone noticed that.
No.
But it's just patriarchal. And I was like, you know, there was a part of me, you know, at this point, I'm okay with it, and I think that's why we're even doing the podcast. But I think when I was younger, that would have
Driven you insane.
driven me insane.
Driven you insane.
And to just be okay with it, and not feel like, oh, I sound stupid. People think I'm stupid. Blah blah blah. That whole freaking rabbit hole. I'm just
Well-
like, I made a mistake, and that doesn't have any reflection
Yeah.
on like who I am, my intelligence, or what people think of me. I don't care. I'm happy with who I am, and it's like it's kind of funny, and
Yeah.
it gave Melissa an opportunity to say she's, you know, that I'm wrong. So it's probably good for the relationship.
I mean, I definitely struggle with making mistakes, especially in something that I feel like I should be knowledgeable about, like when it comes to work or, yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself about stuff.
The hard on yourself stuff is inner child stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's actually just like, you know, I think I've said a bunch of stuff on this podcast that I'll re-listen to and I'm like, that's not totally right. But I'm like, well, okay. You know, and I'm like, oh my God. If someone else, a practitioner, listened to that and then they, oh God.
I think about that
God,
too, yeah.
what an idiot. You know, like, but it's mainly for myself, not like how I think it's more of an ego thing for me.
Oh, yeah. That's the other part of it, yeah. It's all interrelated.
Yeah, I know. But mistakes...
Yeah.
Being vulnerable. Yeah, I think I'm learning how to do that more in relationships.
And it starts with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always thought I was pretty perfect, but I'm kidding. But, yeah. Well, especially doing a podcast, it's a whole exercise in mistakes and being vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And, like, letting yourself... I don't know, that truck horn is like...
It's real serious
yup.
business.
It's like, make those mistakes.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah. There's Tosha has a great prayer about perfectionism. Something along the lines of, like, free me from the prison of perfectionism.
Yeah. I don't feel very much perfectionism vibe. I don't know. For myself.
Yeah. I think there
It's
may be
weird...
certain things where I'm still learning to let go.
I have it in certain, I guess, elements.
Yeah.
I wish I was more of a perfectionist about organization of my apartment.
Which is surprising, this cap.
A triple cap. Like,
Yeah.
why am I not, like, everything has a labeled cube?
Weren't you
I know, and if you
condoing the whole place?
Yeah. Like, my apartment's, like, not very... It's pretty, like, funky out there for a cat.
I love your apartment.
Thank you. I love your apartment.
Thanks.
Very... Yeah, well.
Thanks. That's Melissa. I just live there.
Well, great job, Melissa.
Yeah. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
No, emotions is huge. And then I think when you know, Brene Brown talks about... I haven't seen the Netflix special, actually, but I know in the TED Talk that she gave years ago, she says, like, once you're vulnerable, then you can really... Then you're open to experience joy. Then you're open to experience... I think it just goes deeper. I don't think there's a place, you know, like I said in the last episode, it's a very big realization when you're like, there's no final thing. There's no, like, we made it.
I know, that's so annoying to me.
See, for me, it's so liberating. It's like,
For me, I'm like, it's never ending. But that's why we work well together.
Yeah, but you keep reaching new vistas.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of being sarcastic. I'm not like...
No, you're not. No.
Well, in terms... I guess for me, it's actually equally exciting and a bummer. Same time. You know, like, it's always a growth. You're always learning. There's always another place to get to. So it's, like, expansive, whatever. But, you know, the other part of me is like, oh, gosh, isn't there, like, you know, plain 12 and then you're good?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I think you just keep expanding and growing, but also, like, not to make that a project of the ego, you know, to be like, I gotta keep expanding.
Well, I think once the ego gets out of there, then you can really go for it. There was an interesting thing in the Netflix special that you will watch
at
some point. And she's talking about criticism of her work and being vulnerable, and how in the beginning when she first did that TED Talk a while ago, and people were just being so mean, like commenting, saying horrible things. And she said it took a while. She had to have her moment of watching TV and eating ice cream and just feeling sad. Mm-hmm. And then she got to a place where she realized if the person making the criticism is not being vulnerable to and not showing up for, like, the game in a way that is, I'm putting myself out there. I'm willing to make mistakes. I'm willing to talk about my imperfections and my emotions. Then she's like, I don't care what you have to say.
Yep.
And I was like, you are so cool.
Yeah. It's
You know?
crazy.
So, and it helped me with our podcast too, you know, like we're just two goofy guys, whatever.
You can call me a gal.
I kind of love calling people gal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, talking about stuff that we think is really interesting and we don't know, and we could be very wrong and are a lot of times, I'm sure. But we're showing up and we're being vulnerable and we're willing to just put it out there. And that's rad.
Ooh, dang. I love it. And if you don't like it,
bye.
bye. See you later.
But so she talks a lot about that in her
Yeah.
podcast, which is cool.
I love it.
She's really cool.
It's so freeing.
Yeah, that's freeing to me.
So much of this, totally. Like what you're saying with so many times when people are criticizing, and I know because I was that person. Mm-hmm. I used to be such a hater about certain things, particularly music, because I was so hard on myself about it. I'd be like, this fucking song sucks. Fuck this shit. And then I realized it's because I was so, like, hard on myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, cool, you're doing that. I personally don't like it, but that's okay.
I know.
You know?
It's like a neutrality.
Yeah. And, like, that's what I was saying a little while ago with, you know, when I talked about, that Tosha story about the third way. Like, you can be some,
I remember.
going through the airplane thing. Check out her book, Outrageous. If people are interested, I know I'm talking about, I always bring up Tosha a lot. Start with Outrageous Openness. Outrageous Openness. It was her first book. It came out in 2011. And it's just a really wonderful insight into really this stuff where it's like, it's not you, it's the other person.
Yeah.
You know? The other person is reflecting something about themselves. And if you are at a place where you are comfortable and open and vulnerable, that will mirror back at them. And I think like really enlightened souls who have come here who are, you know, called gurus, that's what they do. They take human form. And I've heard this, you know, Baba Ramdas, his guru, Baba Neem Karoli, who my mom actually met.
Cool.
We're actually like personally connected, which is so cool. A family friend used to be his PR person. He was a mirror. It was like anything, whoever he interacted with, it's like literally just looking back at yourself and you'd be like, oh, whoa, you know?
Yeah. Which is interesting too, to think about your, you know, who you have in your life as relationships, right? Like your friends, your family, you know, work relationships, everything. Like if there's some relationship that is difficult and you're just feeling kind of ick about, take a moment and think about what that actually is saying about you, right? Like sometimes, you know, if you have a difficult relationship with your boss, what is that actually about? Is it control? Do you feel like they're trying to just step on your, you know, process or whatever? And I think that's helpful too, because everyone is a mirror for each other.
Yeah.
Were you going to say the
I
Justin
was going to
Timberlake?
sing the Justin Timberlake song.
I knew it. You had a little glimmer in your eye. I was like,
so good. I'm going to like it again. Justin Timberlake and Timbaland. They're a good combo, man.
Also it's May. It's like that meme. That Justin Timberlake meme. It's gonna be May. Stop.
Oh,
You've
I don't
never
know this
seen
one.
it? I'll show it to you
sorry.
later.
Okay.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. But emotions.
I know.
And we're human. And it's okay. And allow yourself to feel. Really allow yourself to feel, you know? And I think what happens is we live in an age where, you know, I think, again, it's the divine feminine. And I think women are more open to feeling a lot of times. And our culture is starting to learn to feel. And it's very hard. I think it's very difficult to feel in such a patriarchal
I did it right.
culture, because there's a lot of really tough stuff happening right now. Really, 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 really challenging painful things, and I think we go through the world sometimes. To survive, you kind of have to numb yourself, and it takes courage. It takes courage to be vulnerable.
That's what Brene was saying. You know?
Yeah.
Being emotionally intelligent and being in touch with your emotions is the bravest move you could pull. So, you know, be psyched on that.
Yeah. And also feel that if you feel good, feel good.
Yeah,
Dance.
It's okay to be happy. You can be happy for no reason.
I think that's huge. I think sometimes
there's some shame around happiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
People feel guilty about being happy.
Yeah. It's you know, not to invalidate, but, you know, you can be happy.
Allow yourself to be happy.
Yeah.
Your happiness does not mean that someone else has to be unhappy.
No.
I think it's actually quite the opposite, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, you're not responsible for other people's emotions.
Not at all.
That's been a nice one for me to kind of sink into.
Say it again.
I'm not responsible for other people's emotions. That's tough. Also with my work. But I'm getting better.
Oof, yeah. Well, you're in that's a vulnerable place to be.
Where I am?
It's just being a healer.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you just got to be the mirror. That's what it is. If you just take a step back from it. Mm-hmm. It's not yours. Not mine.
Mm-hmm. And just keep reminding yourself that. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, we had plugged it when we talked about the cording and the chakra stuff. There's some great exercises about that Tosha has. We can replug it again, but you know, sometimes that means energetically kind of staying grounded,
closing up, bubbling up. We've talked about that before.
Bubbling up. And again, with all this stuff, the heart center can withstand anything.
Right, it can remain open.
Yeah, and you don't see us right now, but both like Celine and I are actually like kind of leading from the heart. And
yeah, that's true.
one thing I'm going to plug my yoga teacher. He's freaking amazing.
I didn't know you practiced yoga.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Elias. Oh, what's his last name? Elias Lopez. I know his website, happywarrioryoga.com. He's amazing, and he teaches at the Y in Park Slope, but he also has a private practice too. And he always talks about with yoga practice, everything that you do always lead with the heart. And I think even in life, like when you start to kind of move with your heart kind of in the front, it's almost like this beautiful like shield that like is open and compassionate, but also like it's like protective in a way. It's like you're just kind of like, because you're in touch with yourself and like, I'm vulnerable, I'm loving, and then like people just feel that, man. I really feel like when you start leading from your heart and you lead with love, you know, people will start like, there are times where like they'll like attack you or whatever, and when they start to realize like it's just bouncing off and not penetrating you, they start to be like, oh shit, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And they're like, this is not working. And it's like disorienting.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So lead with the heart.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And it's something that, you know, it may be hard to understand at first. But I think over time, as you build the relationship with yourself and you're loving yourself first. Again,
right.
All this stuff, I think it's very hard to do this without loving yourself first, because then you're almost giving too much. It's like you're not giving where it needs to go first.
Right, you're going to become drained.
Yes.
If you give, it's like filling someone's cup when yours is empty. Right? Like it's not, and that's something that I definitely have found very helpful in practice with like working with people, you know. First get all my cards in a row, or decks, and whatever they say.
Ducks in a row.
Ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do think since I've gotten some of my ducks in a row, I have been a little bit more abundant in my work.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like a nicer time, right?
People feel it.
Yeah. I mean, think about just like very comforting souls.
Mm-hmm.
Then you like want to be around. I mean, I can like think of people in my life where I'm like, oh, it's just like so nice to be around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are other people that are a little more challenging.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I prefer not to.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Once again.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Nailed emotions.
That's everything you need to know ever
Done.
about emotions.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
So we're moving on. No. Well, there's some nice tidbits in there.
Yeah. I mean, I just think being emotionally available to yourself, understanding that's brave, and just starting there.
And don't blame yourself for having emotions.
No.
It's so natural.
Yeah.
I think we're taught like we have to be happy all the time. It's like that's just bullshit.
No.
You're not going to be happy all the time. Get over it.
No, winter exists. Summer and winter. You know?
Yeah, the seasons really have a
It's
lot to
just
teach you.
So, yeah.
They have a lot to teach you. That motorcycle was like, vroom, vroom. It's spring. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay. If you don't feel great right now, that's okay. It's okay.
Totally fine.
Yeah. And if you do feel good, that's great.
Psyched for you.
Let yourself feel good.
Or if you just feel normal, that's also wonderful.
Yeah. And if you feel tired and you want us to stop talking, we'll stop talking. And on that note,
Hi.
no, I would like to do. So I mean, we gave a bunch of different practices. So maybe just whatever you're feeling, go through the feeling.
Yes. That's a great, just easy thing. I mean, actually, maybe not easy, but like, face it.
Face the feeling. Allow yourself to feel.
It's going to be much easier.
Yeah, and I think you're going to become more present.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you are right now, and it's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening.
And I'm going to do some plugs.
Yeah.
I think we should end it. Yeah, so,
jazz it up. Jazz it up.
leave a review.
Yeah, let us know if you have any ideas about inner child stuff, or, what do you do for when you're feeling like angry or frustrated? How do you get it out?
Yeah.
In a productive way.
Yeah. If you have any other like concepts of something that's corollary to inner child, if that's hard. Oh, I just remembered one.
What?
Oh man. This is in Tosha's new book, but one of her students, or people who was listening to her, she said she had a really hard time with the inner child stuff. So she said what was easier was an inner dog, like an inner pet.
Oh, okay.
So she, like, when she did the inner child meditation, she didn't see a child. She saw like a dog.
Interesting.
That she had to take care of and like give unconditional love to.
Yeah, like a pet.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
If inner child is like too annoying, like think of it like a little pet that you need to take care of, or a giant pet.
Yeah, or like a Tamagotchi, whatever.
Yeah, or like a Polly Pocket.
But yeah, please, feel free to have a conversation with us on Instagram. If there's any topics that you'd like us to cover that we haven't covered, or if there are topics that you feel like we started covering but didn't go in depth enough, please let us know.
Yeah.
Check out our Patreon account, patreon.com/aswooasyouwant. You can give us some dollars and cents if you want.
Yeah, no pressure.
And thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
And we love you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.